I about drove myself crazy making this video. That's because I've been testing so many headsets on Call of Duty Modern Warfare 3 to find that perfect EQ. And I might be showing my age here, but I've been playing Call of Duty since Call of Duty 2. Call of Duty is a chaotic game. You got score streaks, you got people running all around, you got the environment, you got music. We're gonna talk about all that, right? But what I like to get out of my headsets when I'm playing Call of Duty is, number one, I wanna be able to pick up as many footsteps as I can, even though Call of Duty is not the best as far as footsteps, not like a Valorant or a Counter-Strike or anything like that. It's a really chaotic game, right? So we're gonna try to pull out as many as we can, but we still want that environment and we still want that immersion. You want to hear those reloads. You want each weapon to sound a little bit different. You know what I mean? And that's what you want out of this. You don't want to just, again, drop all your bass and pull out these highs so you just hear footsteps. You still want to have fun and have that immersion feel like you're on the battlefield. And that's what we're going to get across all of these. Now, before we swing over to the game room, I want to cover one thing that you all probably saw across my headsets and my headphones, as I am using wicked cushions across just about all of them here. But hey man, do those adjust the sound? Are those really going to tweak with the sound of the headset? Not really. If anything, it pulls the driver a couple millimeters, if even, away from your ears. It's honestly going to help with that sound isolation a lot more because I'm using the gel one. So it's locking that sound in there, really sealing around my head. You got that pleather inside there, so it locks in that sound a whole lot better than some of the stock pads. But if you talk over here with the SteelSeries where it's pleather lined inside, when the stock pads are all cloth, again, it holds in that sound to give you a little bit more body on it. And again, it's just an improvement all the way around. It's to give you a little bit more body, hold that sound to you, not let your sound bleed out, not let you hear your environment around. So again, no fluff, no sponsor plug here. I highly recommend you snag some wicked cushions for all of your headsets. They're just that good. But as far as adjusting your sound, yes, they do, but mild, not even worth mentioning, honestly. Let's go on a swing over to the game room and we'll pull up some EQs and we'll chat about them a little bit over there. Now, the first thing we need to adjust here before we look at EQs, I know you guys are like, dude, this guy just talks so much. Show me some EQs, right? But no, trust me, this is incredibly important. Load up Call of Duty and come over here to settings. Now, this is the same for console or PC. As you see, I am on PC. But anyways, go into settings, go down to audio, click on that. And number one, right up here, you see we got to set the headphones. Does this really matter? Not really. You might notice it drop a little bit if you come down to like home theater or sound bar. But again, we're using headphones, so just click at the headphones, whatever. This is the important part here, volumes, right? So we got our master volume up and it gives you a little kind of info guide of what everything is right down there, right? But this is really important. Gameplay music volume, right? The in-game music, obviously. Set this to 0 because that music is constant and it can get really annoying mid-round. You just don't want to hear it, right? You want to be able to hear your enemies, you know? So again, turn that off right down there. And dialogue volume. Oh my gosh, this one is so annoying. This is like when your character's throwing a grenade or something like that. The character doesn't shut up, you know? So trust me and set this to 0. You will be so glad you did. Now, setting both these to 0, yes, your lobbies will be kind of dull. You won't hear anything, you know? Kind of boring, I guess. I don't know, you know? But you'll appreciate it in your round. You'll feel like you're on that battlefield. And again, you'll be able to hear your enemies a whole lot better. So trust me, set those to 0. Now, one other thing you want to adjust in here is right down here, the Juggernaut music. Turn that to off. The music is enabled Juggernaut kill streaks. So you don't want them, you know, hollering about all that or anyone else's kill streaks going off. So make sure to turn that one off as well. So again, those 3 you turn off. Me personally, I don't use a microphone whenever I am in a game. So I also keep my microphones off as well. That's up to you. Me personally, I just don't want to hear everyone else yakking. So those settings in the audio here are going to play a massive role into your gameplay. Before we go over to the game room, there are 2 headsets we got to take a look at that require the phone for the app. Kicking it off with the Audeze Maxwell's here. Here is an EQ. I've done nothing to it, and I highly recommend you not to adjust the EQs on these bad boys. What I highly recommend you to do here is just scroll up to treble boost and leave it right there. Oh my gosh, you're going to have such a blast with this headset with it in treble boost. If that's a little bit too sharp for you, which I honestly don't think it is, this is a great EQ you can use across many games, but talking about Call of Duty right here, treble boost is pretty good. But if you want to tone it down a little bit, go to Audeze and it's going to reduce those trebles just a pinch, and it is a fantastic sound. Honestly, when you get down here and you go into presets and you start tweaking this, you really mess with that quality Audeze sound. Now for the second headset we got to talk about before we go to the game room is the Turtle Beach Stealth Pros. Again, controlled through our phone, and I want to kick it off with this superhuman hearing. Leave that off. I am not a fan of it. It just jacks with your sound way too much. It's gimmicky. It's marketing. Turtle Beach probably doesn't like me saying this, but again, I've stated it over and over and over. I don't like it. It jacks with your sound. It pulls any sort of bass or body out of it and just pulls out your highs, but still softens them out. You're not going to have fun, right? And we're playing games, number one, to have fun. Anyways, coming down to noise cancellation. I'm going to talk about the EQ, but there's a few things we got to talk about here. The noise cancellation, whenever you activate it, right, over here, and do this when you don't have any game volume playing or anything like that, but whenever you activate this, you hear a slight static. And yes, it does play into your EQs or your sound you're going to mess with there. It's mild, and again, it's just in the background when nothing's going on, you'll hear that slight static. So again, you're not going to notice it in round or anything like that, but you will notice in those quiet lobbies. But now I want to scroll down a little bit here and get to our EQs. As you see, you have your basics over here with signature sound is pretty good, and then bass and treble is fair, but the signature sound on these are pretty nice. If you don't want to mess with any of that, bam, just press that, you're good to go. But we're going to swing into advanced here. I got my preset up here, Call of Duty, and what you can do is actually hold on to it here, and then the pen will come up, or pencil, so you can edit your EQ. Let me get the phone going to the side so it'll pull up. Bam, there you go. Hopefully you can see that in the phone. Let me pull it up a little bit here. It doesn't show the numbers, so hopefully you can kind of see. I have that smiley curve. You can see I got the bass pulled up a little bit, and then the treble's kind of matching at the end and just peeking down. So I'm still getting that body. I'm still getting those highs, those reloads, those gunshots, all that detail, but nothing's really muddying us up or softening us up. That's why I like the smiley curve. Immersion, detail. Look at it that way. This down here is kind of, I put this as like if you're playing like Diablo or something like that, right? You're going to want some of that down there for that body. But right here, playing Call of Duty specifically, again, look at your bass back here as your immersion, your body. Down here or up here with your treble, you're looking at that detail, your reloads, your footsteps and stuff like that. So this is the preferred EQ I use on my Turtle Beach Stealth Pros. But again, if you don't want to use this, just use that bass preset, the signature sound, which is pretty nice as well. Now, the first EQ we're going to take a look at are going to be the SteelSeries Arctis Nova 7X, but you can honestly use this across any of the Nova line, even the Pros, because they're all so darn similar. If we're using straight up engine, we're not using sonar. SteelSeries just did release a thing where you can use sonar and it'll save to the headset itself. Again, I like engine because it's kind of classic and it's fair and balanced across the entire line. Anyways, coming over here, as you see, I'm still using that smiley curve, but I pull my highs out significantly on this right here, right? It's bouncing down here. We got our bass right at 5, and then it's topping out. I got my trebles up at 9.5 here. We all know the Nova line, they kind of reduce the highs a little bit compared to the old SteelSeries headsets, and when I play FPS games, I do like that old SteelSeries sound. That's why I always used to main my Arctis Pros. But this one is a really nice one. You can see we pull our mids up just a little bit here, and it rounds out really nice. This, honestly, y'all know this is my favorite headset, the Nova 7X, and I probably had the best time playing Call of Duty with this. There's a reason why this is my favorite headset. If it's too sharp for you, just pull these down a little bit. Pull these first EQs down a little bit and go a little bit by little bit right there each round. Me personally, I think this is a really fun and exciting EQ for this headset. Now, volume limiter. This is a big one over here. Make sure that is off. When you click it on, again, everything's going to be a little bit lower. Just make sure to click that off right there. And I keep my side tone off. If you keep it on, of course, you're going to hear yourself talking if your microphone's not muted, even if the microphone is retracted in there. Now, the next EQ I'm going to show you is the Razer Blackshark V2 Pro. This is the 2023 version, but you can use this across any of them. The USB version, the older version, whatever, it's the same because you're using that Triforce driver here. So I'm going to click on these, and you're going to see this one's a little bit different than the SteelSeries one. Still pretty same. You got the smiley curve, but take a look at our mids here, right? Remember I peaked up the mids on the SteelSeries a little bit, and I kind of came up with the bass a little bit more. This is dropped down just a pinch. It's still brought up because we want our bass. We want our immersion. That's what this is right here, sub bass and bass, right? But I pulled those mids down. Y'all probably heard me many times in my videos about the Blacksharks. As much as I love them, they are a little bit bass heavy. I kind of always refer to like a Diablo or Destiny. I love them for Destiny because you got that body and that really deep immersion with them. But on Call of Duty, I don't want too much of that. These can be a very heavy headset for Call of Duty. So I still kept our bass down here, but I pulled our mids down a little bit, you know, and then I still pulled our highs up. Now these use the Triforce driver, so you can see my highs. I didn't really peak them. I played around this for a lot. Like, just put that up there. Like, does that little bit make a difference? It honestly did. You know what? And you might not hurt yourself if you just kind of tone it down a little bit like this. But once you start toning the highs down on the Blacksharks, this and the bass and your mids, even though they're dropped down, they really come into play. They're Triforce drivers, right? So you're really going to hear a lot of that separation of those different sounds, whether it be your bass, your mids, and your highs. So any adjustment here, talking about that 1 point over here, yes, you do notice it. And like I said, if that's, you know, I don't think this is going to be too sharp, but if it is and you pull it down, yeah, you're going to reduce that, but you're going to start hearing some of this. So if you reduce this over here, I recommend you reducing this over here, if that makes sense. The Blacksharks, this was hands down the hardest EQ for me to come up with. And I went back and forth to this one so many times, just tweaking it and playing with it. This was a very hard EQ because I wanted to reduce, again, that kind of hollow, mid-heavy, little bit of bass sprinkled in there sound. I didn't want that hollow bass sound, right? I wanted some of that detail as well. You got the immersion with the Blacksharks, hands down, but this one I wanted to tweak out a little bit here. So again, as you see, -1s over here +2, and we're peaking up to +4 over here. This is a really nice EQ for this. I really recommend you trying this, but this is a tricky one. So once you start adjusting over here, make sure you adjust over here. Or if you adjust over here, make sure you adjust over here. You kind of got to adjust across the entire line. Sorry to yak about this one so much, but this one, my gosh, really made my head explode. So taking a look at our next headset being the Corsair Virtuoso XTs. Even though I'm using the XTs, again, this uses the same EQ across any of your Virtuosos you have. Mine, it's the new ones, the open back ones. Those are going to be significantly different. But anyways, this will work across any of your Virtuosos. We're going to click on Equalizer. Let me tell you what, you're going to see not as drastic of a curve. You're still seeing that smile right there, just like we saw in the SteelSeries, but not as drastic. And why that is if I went to like SteelSeries type round where I pulled this all the way up to there, it got pretty sharp. And that's a lot for me to say a headset sharp because I really like my highs. So again, that got super sharp. If I pulled my bass up too high, it got really deep and just kind of, again, you got that mumbled type sound, which I didn't like. So I still got that smile, but it's mild. It's just reduced quite a bit. As far as the numbers, I don't like how Corsair does this. As you see, it's 6, and I'll just show you. It kind of comes down a number each way. So 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, right? Just like that. Coming over to the bass, let me get this number for you, +5. We got +5 going right here. And again, I think you might want to play around with this bass, if anything. I think the highs are pretty good. Trust me, once you start peaking this, it gets pretty darn sharp. But it's not like the Blacksharks where if you adjust this, you have to adjust that. You're not going to be playing that game over here. But if there's anything you dabble with over here, maybe just pull this bass down a couple points and it'll kind of round out a little bit. Just make sure you round it all the way down though. And you might like that. You honestly might like that over there. You're not going to get a real punchy, thumpy bass. I don't want to say thumpy because no headset's real thumpy, but you're not going to get that real full bass like you get on the Blacksharks. And believe it or not, I honestly, talking thumpy, the SteelSeries, even though I peaked it up, you know, I did get a little bit of a thump here if a grenade went off right by me. But say for this, if I wanted to pull this up, well, why don't I just pull this up here to get that same thing? It was a little bit more fuller of a bass, if that makes sense, right? It wasn't that hit and it's kind of doing what it's doing. It kind of stuck around for a little bit. So, and that's why I didn't like that. I don't like that jumbled, really soft, chaotic bass type sound. I want the bass to do what it does and then get out of my ears, you know? And again, this I really liked here. Just watch out because whatever you adjust, you do clear as day notice it. So make micro adjustments over on this. And if there's anything you want to adjust right out of the gate, again, because all these EQs are starting points, right? But adjust this, pull this down a little bit, and then leave that there, and then tweak it as you go. Again, if you adjust any of these, do micro adjustments. Now our next headset, the Logitech GPro X2, Yes, these are going to be different than the original one, but you can still use the base EQ. These just sound a lot different because they have your graphene drivers. They're just really firm, and your highs are very potent in this headset. They're just crispy. Everything is crispy about these. The bass, even though we have it pulled up here, it's not hitting, it's not jumbly, it's not rumbly, it's not muddy, it's not soft or anything. You have your bass right here. So you can see I even pulled up my mids a little bit. I'm going 7, 6, 5, and then 6 and 8 over here on the highs. And I had a lot of fun with this headset, a whole lot more than I honestly thought I would. Let me tell you what, by the way, these preset EQs over here, oh my gosh, I couldn't stand them. They were not fun. Side note, I'm going to get back to that EQ. But this surround sound, guys, I stated over and over and over, don't use this stuff. This stuff is just, DTS is not bad, okay? So if we want to talk about it, DTS isn't bad. And if you kind of dial this in, you might be able to get something fun, but you're just tweaking with it beyond anything. And it's, again, personal preferences sound. I don't want to bash it, but for me, I can't stand this stuff. But DTS is a better surround sound out of any of them. I say just keep it off. Come over here, dabble with your EQ. And again, this is really fun. You can use the same EQ on the original Logitech GPros, but the drivers are much, much different. You're right. You might have to pull it down a little bit here because these are really sharp and you can really pull stuff up and get those crisp sounds and those details out of it. This is a very, very fun. I had a whole lot of fun with this headset here. Now, the next EQ we're going to be looking at is when I'm using a pair of headphones. For this test, I was using my MWIII 99 Classics and then my i-Fi stack, as you see here. So if you're on PC, you're going to have to go into your settings here, your sound settings, your properties, and dabble with this. If you're on console, you can pretty much auto-select it and tweak it from there. And when you come down here, you can see licenses is Dolby Atmos. And as you see up here, active, if you have it off, it won't come up and it won't activate on PC. Again, on console, you just select it. You got Windows Sonic sound and Atmos. Trust me, Atmos is much better than Sonic. I don't know if Atmos is free. I don't know. I just got the license and it's always been on there. So I don't know how much this is, but it's fantastic. If you want to dabble with an EQ, Atmos is phenomenal. So anyways, we got Atmos selected. I'm going to come down here, select Atmos, close that background down, and you can see the EQ here. I pretty much got that SteelSeries smile, right? My trebles are just peaking up a pinch more than my bass. Nothing drastic by any means. And the great thing about this is it's nothing crazy, right? You're getting that bass, little pinch of sprinkle of mids in there, and then your highs. But talking about me using my MWIIIs on this, the majority of my sound signature and detail is coming from those. You've heard a lot of people talk, myself included, headphones. You're buying that headphone for that sound, not for this. And I'll be straight with you, I do not use Dolby Atmos when I'm using headphones. I buy headphones because I like the signature of them, right? Whether it be my Audezes or my MWIIIs, which are my two favorites right now, you know, and then my amp is dabbling. If I want a little bass, I'll press the X bass button down there. But the cool thing about this, right, Atmos, is every single headset we just looked at or any headphone out there, you can use this across all of them. So there we go. My recommended EQs for Call of Duty Modern Warfare 3. And like I stated in the beginning, do not take those EQs as the sound you need to use. Don't let anybody tell you what sound you need to use, whether it be an EQ or something like that. Because sound is personal preference. Have fun and play with your sound. Get in there. And again, I'm trying to use my EQs as a starting point and then tweak them, right? Just play around them. You're going to find that sound for you. Sound is different for everybody and your preferences are different. There is no perfect sound, you know. Have fun with it, experiment with it, and just, again, have a good time with your gaming. That's the point here. But I really do hope I was able to help you out just a little bit. And if I was, please hit that thumbs up. Don't forget to subscribe, and I hope I catch you in the next one. Bye now.